Hey everyone, welcome back for a little TLC. For the month of February, we've been talking about family, relationships. We started off with the men who gave us a father daughter talk, and then we had the mother daughter talk last week. And so this week, we're going to be shifting to giving some advice to the sons or the men. So I'm very excited this week to have a mother son talk with some of my favorite boy moms who are going to give y'all some great advice. And so they're going to introduce themselves, starting off with Brooke, and then we'll kind of go all around.
Hi, I'm Brooke Day. I am a mom of three boys. The oldest will be 5 on the 20th of this month. And then my second is 3, and the youngest is 1. So, yeah, that's life.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diane Enoch. I am the mother of a son who is 34. He'll be 35 this year. Wow. And my daughter, a daughter as well, and she is 30. So yeah, I still work full time and they're living out on their own, married. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Avina, and I have a 7-year-old son named Avon.
Okay. So we're going to get right into it. I think this will be very interesting just based on the moms that we have and the ages of their children. So this will be a good one. So the first question I want to ask, just to start off, is why do you think a mother-son relationship is important? And you all can jump in however you see fit or as you feel led. Why is a mother-son relationship important?
I think it's important for the development of um, emotional stability.
I would say a mother-son relationship is important because she has nurturing in her. And uh, boys need to know how women feel and have sensitivities and whatnot. And a mother can teach her son that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's we're their first experience with love from a woman from the opposite sex. And so I think that that has a lot just in itself, like how women interact with men, how they see like me interact with my spouse, how they see me interact with them, will shape them. But then also, I think Avina is right with like their emotional stability. And like Miss Diane said, we're nurturing and we grow up, at least I know some generations it was very much like boys like be tough, don't cry, don't talk about your feelings, like you need to keep all that under wraps. And so I think that it's important because they learn how to be tough from like seeing men and being around like their dad and other male role models, but the mom is responsible for teaching them how to kind of deal with their emotions, and the balance between like being tough as society says, but then being a person and working through your feelings.
Oh, I think that's very good. And something that they've talked about in the previous videos is just like how um like between the mom and the dad, it provides a good balance. And so I like that y'all have talked about how the mom provides like the nurturing side and how to deal with emotions, which I think is particularly important as we live in a world where people say that men don't know how to handle their emotions at all. So it's just interesting to hear y'all say that that is what a mother's role is, and it's very important for them. Um, I guess my question for y'all, and it's a little bit different from what I put on y'all's paper. So feel free to take a few seconds to figure this out. Is I guess where did y'all learn how to be like a good boy mom? Because I think that it's something that can be different. I mean, that's just a question. I think it can be interesting from a woman's perspective to figure out how to parent like a little boy or a grown boy, as Miss Diane has now. But so like, where did y'all learn like what it took to be good at being a boy mom?
I think that I learned from my mom and my grandmothers. So my mom has one son, and so I saw her as she was being a parent to me and my sister. I saw her be a boy mom at the same time. Um, and so I think I saw a lot of how to, like, my mom and my brother are very close. They talk about anything. And so how to establish that relationship where he wants to talk to her, where he's like a completely open book with her. Like I learned that from her, and that's something that I strive to have with my sons. From my grandmothers, I think I learned how to, especially from like my dad's mom, how to not um like not be overprotective or um and I mean people say like boys being boys, and I know some people say that as a negative thing, but naturally boys are adventurous and they get into things and they do things that could make like your mom heart like stop every 5 seconds if you don't just learn to let them be boys and try different things and not be consumed with like, oh my God, you could have killed yourself. Like being able to like separate yourself from that. And my dad's mom did a really good job of that because she had 3 sons, but she also raised them on a farm. And so she like every day they were in danger. And I felt like she always seemed very, I know she worried about them, but she let them do things and learn things and be exposed to different things without like her fear affecting them and having them change their behavior. And so I think that that's one thing that like my dad will tell me like, you're a good boy, mom, because I'm always like, all right, that's enough. But like I let them like wrestle and do whatever with like watching from a distance and not trying to like shield them from everything. And I think I really learned that from my grandmother.
Well, I would say, I'll be totally honest with you. I was not a good boy mom in the beginning. He was my first child. There was no boys in my family. I didn't know what to do with a boy. um, but however, um, he was so easy, just so easy. But my husband, he was a long distance truck driver. And so I had to be both parents a lot of the time. And and so, but he wanted to make sure I didn't baby him, like, because that's what he was saying, that I was babying him too much or whatever. And but again, my son was not rambunctious or anything like that. He was just so meek and mild, you know. And I can remember though, when he was in high school, um, I saw a different side of him that I never knew I would see. And it changed my whole perspective about him. And I can remember him saying to me one day, he says, Mom, I know you love me. I know you've always taken care of me. He says, but I need to do some things for myself without you helping me. Let me feel life for myself, you know. And it may have been that guys were picking on him, that his mom was always taking care of everything, you know. So that's why I say maybe in the beginning I wasn't such a great boy mom because I was so protective of him, very much so. And I commend Brooke on what she said is, you know, you got to let them be boys and just, you know, step back and let them see where they're going to go, and don't wear your heart right there on the edge of your sleeve all the time. Yeah, but that's all I got on that.
So I learned how to be a good boy mom from watching my parents, like my father, trying to see like what worked for him growing up and what didn't, trying to unlearn a lot of traditions that were kind of passed down that I didn't think were healthy. Um, even I also say Avon has an older brother that I got to help take care of before he was conceived, and that helped a lot. His mother was a great help in that. Yeah, it was actually pretty easy. So kind of helping taking care of a 4-month-old baby boy just kind of prepared me for mine. So
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's really good to have that conversation because I don't know, I think sometimes the world can make it seem like mothers like will have no idea what to do with their opposite sex child. And it sounds like you learned from your grandparents. You learned from other boy moms or other male figures, such as Miss Diane, you talked about your husband was like, stop babying him, or your father, Avina, or sometimes life will just teach you, like you have this child, so you're gonna figure it out. Or as it was the case with your child once they got older, they were like, look, I'm gonna have to do some of this stuff on my own, mama. And so I just wanted people to be encouraged that as a parent, you do figure these things out. Um, and your child will be all right. So let your boys be boys, whatever that looks like. I think that was really good, and I appreciate y'all for jumping in on my left field question. My next question, I think this is where I'm gonna go. What are the top 3 things that you hope your son prioritizes? Just the top 3. I done had to reel a couple of my panelists in who wanted to have some branches. So if you tell me your top 3 things you hope your son prioritizes.
so I hope Avon prioritizes his mental health, his physical health, and just his overall life goals.
So my top is set. My top is absolutely like his relationship with God. I want him to prioritize all of them to prioritize that. Um, I think that that's the number one thing, and that's the foundation that we're trying to lay early with our sons. Number two, I am gonna go with family. Um, Not just in the sense of the family that they're born with, but understanding when they get to that age and they have their own family, what that's supposed to look like biblically, what that means that they leave their family and cling to their spouse, their wife. And so I want them to kind of understand the importance of both, but also understand the order, and that I'm fine with coming second, third, wherever I'm supposed to be after their wife and their children, because I think that a lot of times, especially with moms only have boys, you get a bad rep of like, oh, they're mama's boys and the mom can't let them go. And I don't want my kids to experience that or their spouses to experience that. And then number 3, I want to have some branches because I got 2. Um, one is a work ethic. I want them to understand that as humans, but even more so as Black men, they're going to have to work hard, and harder than their counterparts that don't look like them. And so I think that that's really important for me is not just like not being lazy, but being ambitious and following your dreams and putting the work behind it to make it a reality. And then my 4th one, because I really got to say communication. I think that men in general get a bad rep when it comes to communicating. And I think part of that is like just like generational, like a lot of times families don't talk about stuff. You don't talk through your feelings. You don't talk through whatever's going on, especially boys or men. You try to like deal with it yourself. Like that's how you show that you're tough and that you're a man. And I want them to understand that you have to be able to communicate in any relationship, whether it's with your spouse, with your children, with your siblings, with your parents. Like they need to know the importance of communicating, and the importance of being able to communicate with people that aren't like you outside of your family. When you get into that work environment, being able to communicate will just get you really far. And it's the foundation for being able to share what you know, including your faith. So I really stress communication.
We're gonna give you 3.5. That's what we're gonna say that, Buzz.
Okay, actually, since my son is grown, a grown man now, I would say ditto to what Brooke said, because, and he's actually doing that. My son has God first in his life. I'm so blessed by that. His wife and children, he's the perfect father.
Come on,
in my
eyesight. We're gonna have to see this.
In my eyesight, I think he's just that person. And then so it was the Lord, his family, and work ethics. Oh my gracious, he will do what it takes to make sure his family doesn't need anything. Well, positive things. Let's get that clear. Not anything negative. He's always been a very mannerable person, and he communicates well. After the loss of his father, he became a better communicator. He knew I needed that, and so he every day we talk. It's either by text or verbally. But so again, like what Brooke has displayed here, being God first, family, communication. Oh, and his health. I don't want to leave that out.
Miss Diane, how you gonna have some branches too? You gonna start off with ditto, and then she listed about 7 things. I do want to highlight though, gosh, like so many of these things they're across genders. So if you haven't watched the other videos, those who will watch, then make sure you just go see, just to fact check me. But things like mental and physical health are things that we've heard in other videos. Of course, keeping God first is stuff that we've heard in other videos. Family, the importance of that. I mean, these are like great priorities to have. And I also think like work ethic and like pursuing life goals are also like across across the gender. I do think work ethic is something that more people have said they want for the men, because the men got to have a job and all of that. But I will also add that as far as communication, I'm not surprised that the mothers would say that they want that for their sons, especially since we've learned earlier that the mothers are the ones who care about this emotional stability and the nurturing portion. So I'm glad that y'all want to pass that off to your sons. I feel like we got a sneak peek of your son in the background a little bit, Avina. Well, did you tell him to go set his timer again? Oh, Avon go get us. Like it's been
Avon
100 years.
yeah, he's checking it. Come here, Avon. You want to say hello?
Oh, hi, Avon.
All right, go on.
He's like, and that's enough. Okay. So we're gonna get to the next question, which is going to center around relationship, or should I say questions, in this one. So it is February, the month of love. I know we have Galentine's Day too. So the overarching question is, what would you like your son to know about relationships? This can be romantic relationships, general companionship, friendships. Just what do you want them to know about relationships?
I'll make it short. I promise this time because I took up so much time the last time.
Give
Anyway,
me a hard
uh, I that when you love someone, don't be afraid to show it. And it doesn't have to be materialistic material. It just verbal gestures that you do. Um, like I know my son loves his wife, no doubt. Um, he provides meals and take care of the boys and um, keep the house clean. That's love. That's love. And being a provider, that's love. So you can express love in all different ways, but also listen to her and don't just hear her words, hear her heart, you know. And then don't ever, please don't leave mama at the equation, Mom still wants some son love too. That's all I got.
As far as love goes for my son, I want him to always love himself first and understand that you don't get to choose how other people love you, but you do get to choose if you want to be a part of it. So,
Woo! Woo! That's the whole word right there. Say that again. Say it again. Say it again. Say it
I
again.
said you don't get to choose how people love you, but you do get to choose how, if you want to be a part of it. So, I think it's really important that he loves himself first. That way he sets the standard for other people that comes into his life, because setting expectations honestly just kind of sets you up for disappointment. But if you set a standard, um, then if you set a standard for yourself, then you set other people won't really come in your life and just kind of play around with you like that. So I just think it's important that he loves himself first.
That was good. I'll put that on a shirt
That
too.
was very good. Yeah, I love that. I think as far as a like romantic relationship, especially like a marriage, I want them to understand that it's a partnership, whatever that looks like between you and your partner. It doesn't really matter what society says you should be doing or the woman should be doing. Like I don't believe in gender roles, and my kids will not have not seen gender roles in our house, and so I don't want them to get caught up in like being a good husband is bringing home the money, or being a good husband is like having all these guns and protecting your family. Like it's so much more than that, to provide for your wife and your children. And so I want them to understand it's a partnership, which also means that you have to choose someone who's going to be a partner, and not going to fully just rely on you and not do their part. That's not going to kind of try to walk over you. Like you're going to take each other into consideration in every decision, and it's not going to be one-sided. And I think a lot of that also goes with what Avina just said. Like you got to have a standard when you go to find your wife. As far as any type of relationship, back to communication for sure, but also just I think Miss Day is right. Like if you part of being able to communicate is to be able to share your feelings, whether it's verbally or through acts. But you don't be afraid to show how you feel. I think that's sometimes people say like will make comments that make guys like shy away from doing that, like, oh, he's whipped, or oh, he's that, or and so I think that like sometimes you get pressure from like other guys, especially like in high school and stuff, to not be yourself for one, but also like display how you feel. So I just don't want them to fall into that. And with friends, like surround yourself with people who um, have similar beliefs with you and are going to similar beliefs as you and are going to challenge you. Don't You don't have to try to fit in. And I think that also goes back to what Avina said. Like, you be comfortable in who you are, and surround yourself with people who treat you according to kind of what you expect, what you demand because of the love you have for yourself.
Yeah, I think that was very good. I'm probably gonna have that quote from Avina on loop in my head. There's something I need to tell myself. I don't even care about. I mean, I do care about what the men get from this video, but if nobody get nothing out of this, I got something out of it. Which is that was just good. Y'all mentioned some things about just talking about love in general, and I know Brookie specifically mentioned like when your son is finding a partner. So I do want us to hone in on specifics for what type of woman you hope your son is looking for. I know, Miss Diane, don't get yourself in trouble, but I know I know Brandon did good picking. So yeah, so what type of woman should your son be looking for? And I know y'all talked about some things like good partner already, but if you have any other characteristics, let
I
us
mean,
know.
I think they need to find someone who's also like a child of God, who's also like equally yoked with them. Um, Not to say they have to be on the same level from day one. I mean, I wouldn't say get in a relationship with like an atheist, but it's okay if like you're more mature in Christ and they're a child, like more of like a babe in Christ. You can grow together. But I do think that you need to be very aware of that, because it just makes things harder. Marriage can be hard enough without like disagreeing on something that's so fundamental, and something that I hope is foundational for my sons. So I would want them to marry someone who's also built with the same foundation.
I was waiting her out, but it didn't work. Okay. let me let me tell y'all this. So I've heard all my life, and I tend to believe in most cases it's true that boys, guys, men will pick women that remind them of their mom. Um, and I guess I do believe that for the most part. I know Brandon has said on occasions that sometimes I'll do some things that I do, or vice versa, you know. So so that is what is affirmation for me on that part. And since I've remarried, Paul has shared with me that I have a lot of similarities to his mom. And how does that happen, except that's just the way God ordained it to be? So yeah, I just think guys usually will pick someone that closely mirrors their mom.
So are you telling the mothers that they need to be about something if they want their son to pick
You're that perfect example, yeah.
She said it, not me.
No, I think that really men they love their mom so much that why wouldn't they want someone that they can have a relationship as a wife with, that reminds them of their mother's love.
I would say I want my son to date a woman who never stops getting to know him and also challenges him to do better. Someone who definitely loves herself too. Like she gotta have standards. So, and someone who's a team player. That's all it is. Real simple.
You don't want some more branches like the rest of your panelists.
Ooh. No, I'm short, sweet, to the point.
Oh, I think that's very good. I'm gonna just jump right into the next one. Even though y'all have said some things like being a good listener, and loving themselves. So what type of man should your son be if he wants to attract or find this woman that y'all have described?
I think that ultimately you have to be like, people should be able to see what you believe by how you live your life. You can't just talk about it, your action should line up with it. So if you are a Christian, you're saying God's first in your life, I should be able to see that and how you interact with people, how you carry yourself. And I think that that's in anything, like be a man of your word. You're not going to get it all right. You're going to fail. You are far from perfect, but you should be trying your best, and you should be humble enough to admit when you're wrong. You should love enough and be kind enough to listen and respect others. And so I think that if you're living your life in that way, then you're going to attract someone who values those same things that you do. And I think that if you do communicate, which part of communicating is being a good listener, being able to express your feelings, being attentive, and able to kind of even listen when nothing's being said, and understand that something's off, and being concerned enough to want to know what's going on and want to fix it. I think if you're respectful, you'll attract someone who knows what it means to be respected and values being respected, has those standards. And so I think that those are, I guess I want them to be what they want to attract. If you think that you deserve it, then you also should be it for the other person.
I would say I would want my son to be honest and not just verbally. I want his actions to be just as honest as his words. And I also think it's important that when it comes to listening, that he's not just listening to respond, but like he's listening to understand. And I think it's important that he's also self-sufficient, as self-sufficient as he can be. So that when it does come down to him dating, she's more so enhancing his life and not pacifying it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said what you said.
I totally agree with what my other two co-panelists has stated here. A man of integrity, that Christian man, and a hard worker, and respectful, and yeah, all of those things. That's who he needs to be to attract that right woman. People often say, I've heard said that men will, well, let's just scratch that. I won't go there. I was just gonna say they marry that model woman, but they like to have fun with the other kind of women, like hang out with those kind party women and stuff. I thankfully I didn't have to go through that with my son. So, and he wasn't dating just to have fun. He was dating to find a wife, and that he did.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that actually echoes something that has been said in another video about how men may like to have fun with a certain type of woman, but they typically settle down with a different type of woman. And so it's fine that you said that. We keep it real on this channel. You don't have to scratch it. I do think, yeah, I mean, I just think that it amazes me how so many of these things are similar, like across the videos, things that the men have said and things that the women have said. And so I just appreciate that. And I hope the people who watch these videos will like kind of peep the similarities. I like that y'all talked about being someone who is basically walking the walk and not just talking the talk, being a man of integrity, being someone who is honest in both word and also in deed. I just think those things are very important and really do get to the core of, like, do you have good character? And if you have good character, then you should be able to attract, as you're looking, a woman who has good character as well, because that's really what it's about. Can't we be good folks? Which I think goes back to something that y'all said as far as priorities. When you're putting God first, and I think all those things do start to line up if we're really walking the walk and talking the talk, all together now. Okay, do y'all have any last advice for the men folks? Any advice that you would have liked to give to your sons? For my folks who had the younger sons, I'm gonna save this so they can watch it when they get older and be like, "This is what your mom was talking about." I'm gonna let Brandon know the things that you were saying about him, Miss Diane, especially that perfect father part. I think he need to hear that. But yeah, do y'all have any last advice before we wrap this thing on up?
So the last thing I really want to say is I don't want you all to think that I portray my son as being like perfect, because he's far from perfect. There's none of us perfect. But I am proud of who he has become. I am very proud. And I praise God for him. Our Black men have been given a bad rap. And but this one you can't say anything bad about. And I praise God for that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to see, like I said in the previous video, the Bible says when you train a child in the way they should go, when they are old, they will not depart from it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you being proud of your son. And my hope is that, like, Avina and Brooke are proud of their sons now and will be able to say in 25 years or so, you know what? My child is doing the darn thing. Like, just like I said in this video 25 years ago, they really are living up to that. Like, that's the point of parenting and being able to give this advice. And I do want people to know that as mothers, as parents, you have the you have the authority and the ability to train your children up in the way that they should go. Black men have been given a bad rap. So many people have been given a bad rap, but we as parents, I say we as parents, I got some god kids. We as parents, we can pour into our children with the hope and the prayer that they will become the change and that the reputation for their generation will change because of what we poured into them. And so that's really what these videos are about, being able to give advice to other parents, but also to be able to let people know that there is a wealth of wisdom out here, even if you don't have your biological mother or biological father in your life. So I do hope that you all take a lot from this video, this mother-son video. But I think that there was advice even for everybody else. Like I know I took some things from it. And so, yeah, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for the last talk that's gonna go on this month. I just think this has been good. Take this advice to heart, apply it to your lives, and I will see you all next time for a little TLC. Bye-bye.